Hi guys, welcome to 5IP. I hope you're all doing good. In today's session, we will be seeing something about a Veda. We all know about Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. There's another Veda known as the Pranava Veda. Pranava actually means the beginning. So this Veda talks about the beginning, so it's known as Pranava Veda. This Veda was originally scripted in the Tamil language and it was called Aintiram. Later it was translated to Sanskrit. This is supposed to be about the year 10,000 BC, this Veda. So we'll see 5 interesting points about this Veda, okay? The first point. Today, we live in planet Earth. This planet we live in is Earth. There are many other planets out there. The sun is there, many stars are there, nebulae, all of that is there. But at one point of time, none of this existed. There was no Earth, there were no planets, no stars, no universe, nothing. There was no sun, there was no light at all, and there was no sound. None of this was there. All that existed was one high energy particle. Scientists call this the macrocosmic structure. This was the only thing that was there. Now, at one point, this high density particle, it decides to move. When it moved, at that instant, time was born. And then this begins to vibrate. And when it vibrated, a frequency was created. In the Aintiram, this primordial source, this high density particle, it's called as the Moolam. And when it moves, time is formed, which is Kalam. And then the rhythm in Tamil is known as Seelam. Now at this point, this primordial source, it decides to show itself, to make itself visible, to manifest. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, the self unfolds itself. And how does it do that? How does this high energy particle, how does it make itself visible? It does that through sound and light. The first sound that was formed was the Om sound. The first light that was formed was the Om light. That's why in Hinduism, the word Om is so sacred. Okay? And then when the first light and sound were formed, they created patterns or waves. Seelam, patterns or waves. And then the energy got converted to matter. This is what it is. So first Aintiram says there's the source Moolam. It creates time Kalam, then vibration Seelam, and then all the forms Kolam, and then matter, which is Jnalam. This is what Aintiram says. This is a very, very high level of what Aintiram says. In fact, it talks very much in detail how energy is converted to matter. And when matter forms, then everything else we see here, all that is matter, right? Energy and matter. That's what Aintiram talks about. If you want to get into detail about this, you'll have to read the Aintiram. We will give the link below, okay? This is the first point. Coming to the second point, the author, after completing his work, he presents it. When he presents it to everybody, he says these 4 lines in Tamil. It says, Paramporul yengum undu, palakalai andum undu. Paramporul arulinale, oli vazhipadu kandeen. Paramporul unarvinale, thiru Natarasan kandeen. Paramporul arulinale, maakalai padaithen kanbir. He calls his work the great art, maakalai. We'll be focusing on the 3rd line, which says, Paramporul unarvinale thiru Natarasan kandeen. What is that? If you see, science and God is usually in 2 different directions, maybe 2 opposite directions, usually. But in Hinduism, science and God have always been together from the very beginning. See, even during the Vedic period, when we were worshipping to nature, we worshipped to the sun as the sun god Surya. We worshipped to rain and water as the rain god Varuna. We worshipped fire as Lord Agni, right? So we always connected science and God. Same way, the author of Aintiram also connects his work, his project with God. He calls this high density particle as the Paramatma, God, Paramatma. Okay? And when this high density particle is vibrating, he calls it the dance of the Paramatma. And since this particle is present there in the cosmos and it's vibrating there, he calls this the cosmic dance of the Paramatma. And who's this Paramatma? Lord Nataraja. Lord Nataraja is the form we have given to this high energy particle, primordial source, the very first particle. We've given the form of Lord Nataraja to this particle, and Lord Nataraja does the cosmic dance in the cosmos. It's a very powerful dance. So all that we see around, all that science has discovered so far and is going to discover, all of that has been created from the energy, from the dance of Lord Nataraja. And it's a very orderly dance. I've read somewhere outside of Aintiram, that there are two kinds of dances that Lord Nataraja does. One is for creation. It is a Ananda Tandava, happy dance. All creations are done then. There's also an angry dance known as the Rudra Tandava, where all destruction happens. I mean, there has to be destruction, right? We can't just go on creating. There has to be a balance. So there's Ananda Tandava, creation, and Rudra Tandava for destruction. This is the second point. Now, the third point, we have to see who the author is, right? The author of Aintiram is a very learned Maharishi by name Maharishi Mayan or Mamuni Mayan. Maharishi Mayan was from the continent of Kumarikandam. See, years and years, thousands and thousands of years ago, there was a continent in the southern part of India, and an extension of India. It was known as Kumarikandam. Due to a very heavy tsunami, that continent got submerged inside the ocean. Mayan was from this continent, and he was a Vishwakarma, which means a builder for gods, celestial builder, a magical builder, because in his creations, there's always magic in it. In the Mahabharata, you remember the palace, the magical palace of Panchali, Draupadi? Mayan was the one who is supposed to have built her the Maya Sabha, the magical palace. It was a palace which has ponds and lakes inside, trees and birds and everything inside the palace. And the palace is supposed to change forms every day. So it is magical, right? It was built by Maharishi Mayan. Also, I'm sure you've read about the flying cities, Tripura or Tripurantaka. Mayan built 3 flying cities for the Asura brothers, Tarakaksha, Kamalaksha, and I think the third is Vidyumali. He built flying cities. The bottommost was made of iron, the next flying city was made of silver, and the topmost one was made of gold. He built 3 flying cities. It has to be magical, right? So, Mayan was the one who built these. He is the author of Aintiram. Now, since we talked about this, about his magic in creations, why was he doing that? I mean, what was Mayan trying to do? Building these magical palaces and flying cities, what was he trying to do? What was he trying to achieve? What were his teachings? That will take us to point 4. You remember this Paramatma or the omnipotent energy? It's vibrating in a particular frequency, right? We saw that. We also saw that everything that exists in the universe and beyond was from this high energy particle. So Mayan believed this particle is vibrating in a particular frequency. If all the creations around also vibrated in the same frequency, there will be absolute harmony in the universe. Mayan believed in that. And he believed we could actually achieve that through poetry, music, dance, sculpture, and architecture. That is what Mayan was teaching. If you start Googling about Mayan, the first thing that will pop up is these 4 lines about him to show that he's a passionate teacher. It would say, ஆலமரத்தின் கீழே அருள் மாயன் அமர்ந்ததாலே, ஆலமரத்தின் கீழே அறிவர்கள் அமர்ந்ததாலே, ஆலமரத்தின் கீழே கலை வளர்ந்ததாலே ஆலயம் ஊர்கள்தோறும் தோன்றின செழிக்க நன்றே. What that means is, Mayan would sit under a banyan tree and he would gather his students. He was supposed to have had about 12 very close and sincere students. They were also named Mayan. That's what I read. I think it's more because of when the teachings of Mayan are being spread, it's good if it goes only in one name, in the name of Mayan, rather than each name of the student. So the students also took the name of Mayan. So Mayan would sit under the banyan tree and impart his teachings to his 12 students, and all those 12 students would travel to different directions in the world and take his teachings. That is why in certain parts of Central America and in certain parts of Mexico, we still see Mayan structures standing tall there, Mayan ruins. We still see that. That is proof that Mayan, who was from Kumarikandam, the continent, had his students there and he spread his teachings all across the world. Now, the last line says, Alayam ஊர்கள்தோறும் தோன்றின செழிக்க நன்றே. Alayam is a temple. You see the 5 things with which Mayan felt we could, achieve perfect harmony. Poetry, music, dance, sculpture, architecture. These 5 things are seen together in a temple. Temple, the building, the architecture. Sculpture is the idols inside. When it comes to poetry, it's poems on the Lord, singing it and dancing. So all of this is there in a temple. So thanks to Mayan, that we have a lot of temples everywhere is what these 4 lines tell us. This is the 4th point about his teachings. Coming to the last point, there is a American School of Mayonic Sciences and Technology, something like that. The main person there is one Dr. Jesse Merke. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Jesse Merke and also the late Ganapati Stabadigal, because they were the ones who revived Aintiram. Aintiram, as I said, was dated like 10,000 BC, more than 10,000 years back. That's when it was written. It was lost in between and they actually revived it. We need to really thank them. This school, it has courses on Mayan, his teachings, courses on Vastu Shastra. Vastu Shastra, most of us know what it is. When we in India, Hindus, we construct buildings, be it houses or office buildings, school, whatever it is, we go to a Vastu consultant. There are certain rules to constructing a building. Which direction must it face? Where should the entrance be? Where should the puja room be? Where should the hall be? The kitchen, where people come? Where should the money be? All these things. There are certain rules, and we believe that if we follow those rules, we'll get a lot of good fortune and happiness. We believe in that. So we go to Vastu consultant. Many things that a Vastu consultant tells us is given in Aintiram by Mayan. So Mayan is a progenitor to Vastu. That is the 5th point I was wanting to tell you guys. Let's have a fun question time. We saw about the flying cities, right? Flying cities defying gravity. Think about that. Just to propel that out of the earth and then to make it sustain there. Anti-gravity, right? Working against gravity. Did you guys know that in the human body, there are certain muscles which work defying gravity? Anti-gravity muscles. If you're interested, go research on what those muscles are and post it here so we can all learn something. And if you're actually into this Mayan thing, if it interests you, at one point of time there was a flourishing Mayan civilization. I have not done any research on that, but if you're interested, you can go ahead and research on that and share with us here, because I'll also be very much interested in knowing about it. That's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Take care, and we'll meet again in the next session. Bye.